Rob Kendall speaking with Brian Woodard. Well, I guess we'll still say it. The head coach of the Plainfield Quakers. Coach, how's it going?
Yeah, you can still say that. At least for this show, right? Yeah, it's going. A little bit of a time of transition for myself and our football program, but it's going just fine. How about you?
I'm doing great. So this is a question all these years I've done this show, I never had to ask, but is being the coach of a football team like when you stop being the president? Is there like a day where you say effective as of this day, I'm no longer the coach anymore?
That's a great question, and I think there's a lot of different ways of looking at that. So, like way back when in 2005, when Coach Schwannekamp decided to no longer be the head football coach of the program, it was like literally it was that night, and it was it. Like that was over. Like Coach was done, and which I got it. In my case, it's kind of like this transition process of there's still certain things that I'm doing that I'll use air quotes here, that would be considered head coach responsibilities. I'm still, working with Coach Bless on recruiting. I'm getting ready for our January football banquet. But in terms of like day to day operations, I would say my term, if you will, ended last Monday when we collected equipment.
All right. So in today's final coach show, we always do this each year. One, we'll put a bow on the season, and then we'll talk about obviously, some bigger ramifications,
Mm-hmm.
big changes coming to the program. So let's start with the end of the season. And
Yeah.
and again, I guess from your perspective, you had some great teams for years and years and years, run into some of the best teams in high school football in your class, whether it was Roncalli or Decatur Central or Cathedral or whoever. You finally got that sectional championship. Was it what the way you pictured? Like it's this almost like this mythical thing, right? And then you get it.
Yeah.
Was it what you thought it would be?
Uh, Again, you do such a good job of asking good questions. It's almost like you do this for a living. In a lot of respects, it was very. It's one of those moments where I'd love to have the opportunity to go back, into that moment when the clock hit all zeros and just get to slow it down more. And I say that because, and I compared it to, like your wedding day, just like smashed into 10 minutes, because there were so many people that I wanted to get a chance to talk to and shake their hand more and just tell them how much they meant to me personally and into our program. I didn't feel like I had a chance to do that. And then just, like to look around and soak it in a little bit, and it sounds so silly. And I'm sure there's a lot of coaches out there that, they're probably looking at me going, it's not like you won a state championship. You just won a sectional. And I would say to them, go pound sand, because that's how much it meant to our program, was just to have that opportunity. Like you said, it's one thing to have the opportunity and say, hey, it's a little bit different path this year, but it's something completely different to go and get it done in the fashion that we did, right? In that last second play. So a lot of things kind of came into play there, but it was definitely a night to always remember. I'll never forget it.
No, I mean it's one of the favorite games. I've been doing this for 20 years now. It's one of my most favorite games I've ever called. I mean, it was a great game. Obviously, it's a great program. We're friends. It was,
Yep.
and I remember those sort of games. I mean, I've called, I called both of Tri-West state championships in the early 2000s, and that game, for the sectional
Yeah.
championship was every bit as fun as any game they won.
Yeah. That's awesome. I appreciate you saying that.
Okay, so it is probably hard too, right? I mean, you had to get ready right away to play a regional game, right? I mean, you're not happy with just having a sectional championship. So has this week been any different now that you've kind of had the ability to look back on it and go, that was an awesome game and and an awesome win and we finally did it? Because it's the second championship in school history, and that blew me away because you think of Plainfield as having all these great teams. You figured, well, they probably have won a whole bunch of them, but you realize it's only been done twice in school history.
Well, that speaks to how difficult our schedule has been, and I mentioned it in the Indy Star article of sectional 13. I mean, it's been a. I mean, I'm telling you, I don't. I talked to Jake Gilbert, the head football coach at Westfield, about this the morning after we won the championship, and he had such great comments. He said, I don't think people realize how hard it is to win the sectional. And back to your question about getting to enjoy it. Yes and no. I mean, I tell you, I really felt like, I mean, and I can share this now, but I thought we were going to go and compete for a state championship. And I didn't think that because out of like nostalgia or like thinking like, oh, wow, what a great story this is. I mean, I thought we were good enough to go and make it to Lucas Oil Stadium. So you're right. We were, at least I was, and I know our staff was, we were 100% focused on getting ready for the regional game at Whiteland and an opponent that I thought, uh, it was going to take a lot to beat him. It was going to take a lot better game than we played. Um, on November 12th, but it was a game that we could absolutely win. So, yeah, I have had a chance to look back on it, and in a good way. It's been awesome, and I can't wait. I know this is down the line, but I can't wait to celebrate it again, so to speak, at our football banquet in January.
Yeah, before we talk about that regional championship game, let's thank our sponsors who all year long once again stepped up. CCB Contracting, Geodis, Ganell Financial, Julia Burbridge, Remax, Centerstone, Plainfield, Kyle Burnfield, Mortgage Lender at Flagstar Bank, Team Turley, Fairway Mortgage, Bailey & Wood Financial Group, African Plum Home, MyIT Indy at myitindy.com, I-70 Wrecker Service and Garage, BGW Construction LLC, Beacon Sign Company, Jeff Brown Photography, Karen Alexander Photography, and Whitlow's Towing. So that game, it's been a couple weeks ago now, or I guess a week ago now,
Yep.
plus you guys were in it into the fourth quarter. I mean, Whiteland came out at home against you guys in the regular season. That game really wasn't
Yep.
all that close, but you guys were within a touchdown heading into the fourth quarter. You had to feel at least decent about your chances.
Well, I mean, even going back to the first game, I mean, there were, and we talked about it, in that coach's show of, we were at the end of the second quarter, or just about ready to be at the end of the second quarter. We were down 21-14. We had just scored. We were going to kick the ball off. We wanted to squib kick it. We wanted to keep it away from them. We had bad execution. They wind up getting the ball in really, really good field position. They go in and score. Right. That was game one, and they go up 2 scores, and that was kind of it. So this game, not exactly the same, but again, a pivotal moment in the game. We're right there. We're at a place right at the end of the third quarter. It's 14-21. We need a couple things to go our way. Obviously, you got to make your own luck in those championship games, and we had done that in the previous weeks. We had found a way to come up with a turnover. We had found a way to come up with a big conversion. And here's the deal: we just didn't. And it's just it sucked because there were opportunities there for us early. I mean, we had a couple opportunities, a couple plays set up that just, golly, we had made those plays the previous 3 weeks, and that's what happens when you lose football games. When momentum is on your side, you just find a way. In that game versus Whiteland, I mean, I wouldn't say I felt good about where we were headed into the fourth, but I knew this: like, hey, we've been a team that found a way to win games late. Maybe the magic continues. Obviously, Whiteland being the juggernaut that they are, they beat us, and the score is not indicative of how close it is. I mean, I'm a little disappointed. I consider Coach Fisher a very good coach and a coaching friend. A little disappointed with how he managed the game at the end. They always say if you don't like it, stop it. I guess but the bottom line is we lost the game. And I thought we played well enough stretches of that game to be in it late. Just needed to find a way to make a couple plays down the stretch that we weren't able to.
What is the speech like after the game to the team? And I know we kind of talk about this every year, but it's the final game of the year. Take away the idea that it's your last game, at least for now. What is that speech like to the team?
I think it's very similar to, I don't want to say every year because every group is different, but I just always want to express my thanks to our players and make sure that they know that, that their efforts are validated, that they're respected for what they did, and especially this year's group. I mean, for the stretch that we had, I told them, the last 4 or 5 weeks of our season was special. I mean, I don't know, it was really cool. I mean, every single game, come from behind win, just out of nowhere, last second plays, it was just incredible. And we kept saying all fall, especially early fall, in August and in early September, hang in there. There's going to be better days ahead. And just to share that with our players again, to say thank you for making that become a reality. Because you can't. Some people think you can speak things into existence. I mean, you can say all the stuff you want to say, but at some point in time, the rubber meets the road, and coaches have to get it coached, and players have to respond. I can come in on a Sunday or a Monday, whatever it is, and I can say all the great coaching phrases and get kids excited, but the kids have to make the wins become realities, and this team did that, and I just so thankful for them, and that's what I shared with them after the game.
When you look back on your coaching career, are there games that stand out to you? I mean, obviously, I would assume the sectional championship would be one of them. But are you even capable now of remembering like this individual game, or are they all? Does it all run together for you?
It is funny. There are games and moments in time that just are like just odd moments. Like, why do I remember that? Versus this. I mean, I'll never forget. Some of my games as an assistant coach in our run in 2000 when we went to the state championship. Those moments etched in my memory forever. I mean, being on the field on a really cold, crisp night back in 2006 with my first team playing against Cathedral, which wound up being a great football team with one of my better teams, maybe one of the best teams I ever had, right out of the gate. Just things like that again, why I remember those things. You coach a lot of years, a lot of kids. They do all kind of run together, but this year had some of those moments, as I mentioned on previous shows. They're gonna stick with me for a long time, and they're great memories to hold on to. That's for sure.
Man, and I don't know if you remember this, but like 10 years ago, we started joking about, or I did, because obviously you weren't focused on it, but getting 100 wins. And man, you got so close to 100 wins. And if you'd have made it to the state championship, you would have got 100 wins.
Well, and I didn't even know. I mean, I don't look at my record. I mean, it's like I know where to find it. It's on John Harrell's site that I'm on all the time. I just don't look at that particular page, which you've done such a fantastic job of reminding me every week. And it's hey, it would have been cool, like 100 to have yeah, sure, because that would have meant I'd had one more win. That have meant we made it to the state championship. It's not the number, it's the opportunity, and it's the experience. And I think that's the thing for me that I mean, you might say, well, if you like coaching so much, why don't you want to keep doing it? And that's a valid point. And there's a lot of reasons for why I don't. But the bottom line is I loved being with this team, and I love being, coming back for this year. And whether that was getting to 100 wins or whether just getting another week of practice, I would have loved to have had that opportunity.
When hyper competitive people stop doing something that they've always done, you always hear like they kind of feel lost. And maybe that's why a lot of people think Tom Brady came back again when he obviously has nothing to prove. Do you think you're going to miss it? I guess we'll start there. Do you think you will miss coaching high school football?
No question. No question. I mean, I already do. And I've been, done for whatever, a week. That, but the things that I will miss, it's like risk and reward, when you choose, like, do I want to go play this pickup game of basketball? I do, but there's a lot of risk. I might blow out my ACL. So I'm going to go over here and play pickleball instead. It's kind of the same thing. Like, there's going to be a lot of what I will miss. I'm gonna desperately miss our coach's office and the camaraderie there, and the actual. I'm gonna miss the heck out of preparing to go and win on Friday and those kind of things. That part of it I already miss, just because it's the off season, and it'll be a challenge for me to find other things to do. And as I said before, I'm not ruling out not coaching again. I just has to be the right spot with the right people.
Well, that's what I was going to say is you may know, Coach, I am astute in reading people, and it's one of my few talents that I have. But you're not done. You're not done coaching, right? I mean, it doesn't mean tomorrow you're going to run out and become a high school football coach. Probably part of it is too. You want to see your boy play college football, but you strike me as the sort of person who will coach high school football again.
No doubt. I mean, I definitely want to have that opportunity again, and I feel like there are so many people, and this is not a slight to other to other coaches. I don't mean to to come off that way, but like, I have to be defined by something more than just being a high school head football coach. Like there's got to be more to life than doing what I've done the past 17 years. And there are a lot of men that do it a lot better than me. There are a lot of men that carry the I don't want to say burden, but I'll use that word anyhow, that carry that burden of being the high school coach every day and dealing with the things they have to deal with. Um, I just, I choose at this point in time in my life to do some different things and to take on, I don't say take on some different challenges because I've not been there yet, but maybe have some different challenges and you know those are all things that will come in time. But I love coaching. It's a great profession, and I can't wait to be involved again on some level.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like you're Washington returning to Mount Vernon toward at the twilight of his life or something. I mean, we kind of treat it like that. Oh my gosh, the coach is retiring. I mean, you're not even 50 yet.
Yeah, and it is a weird deal. I mean, people don't do it this way. Like, who announces their retirement, or whatever, walking away, and people are like, oh, he's doing that for his ego. I'm like, no, I'm. This is about our program, and an opportunity to bring Coach Bless in and integrate himself into our staff. I mean, if you would have asked me back in whenever that was that we decided, whatever, back in January as we started to plan this thing, if you would have said, if it would have gone as perfectly as it has, I would have said, no way, it just won't go that well. And it has. In our program, I trust me, it's going to benefit. And Coach Bless and the remaining coaches on staff are going to absolutely pick up right where we left off. And we already have. I mean, while other programs are out there searching for their next head coach, ours is already in the building and already working on getting us better and getting us ready for 2023.
It's so weird because when we obviously we broadcast the tournament games, and when you get approved by the IHSAA, which is so nice that the IHSAA allows you to broadcast tournament game of a team you've covered all year. That's very gracious of them to do that for a nominal fee, especially when it's the school's official broadcast. But there's always a list of people who are broadcasting. And when we first started, 15, 16 years ago, doing these games with you guys, and then Avon even before you guys, it was like some radio stations would do the games for all these teams across the state, and then there might have been like one or two internet broadcasters, and a lot of the games didn't have any sort of coverage. And I was watching that list, and every game, it seemed like in every round, even the little schools had internet coverage or radio coverage of some sort. And it got me thinking about like how much the game has changed and the interest in high school football has changed. This isn't even like the same game that you inherited when you became the head coach all those years ago.
Yeah, it's not even, I don't want to say remotely the same. I mean, you still block, you still tackle, you're still, there's certain aspects of the game. Yeah, for sure. But I mean, how it's coached, how the game is played, the mechanics involved, completely different game. I mean, the level of the only thing that has gone backwards in terms of like coverage, would be your traditional newsprint media, right? There used to be the Metro West edition. You used to have actual, people covering high school sports. I realized that, that was a not profitable situation for papers to do that, and it transitioned to, online kind of deals, but it's also at the same time allowed for the sport to be covered much, much easier, with, like you said, the internet broadcast, the online streaming, all those kind of things where, I mean, I paid for the subscription Friday night. I paid $17 and got to watch almost every single semi-state game in the state of Indiana, which was awesome. I mean, you couldn't do that even 7 years ago. So the coverage is incredible. You got to credit the Colts and some of those individuals for making high school football part of what it is today.
Yeah. Do you think the game has changed the game itself? I'm not talking about the coverage of the game, but the game itself. I mean, obviously it's a markedly different game. We used to laugh that you guys, we had, at one point, 75, 80 games going on across the country with Audio Sports Online. And you guys were almost always the first ones done. It was 2 hours, right? Plainfield was in and out in 2 hours because you ran the football so much. Now the huddling is a thing of the past in many cases. Yeah. I mean, has the game changed for the better in these years you've been a head high school football coach?
I think it's allowed more players to be involved. Offensively speaking, I mean, you have to, you're trying to get the ball to your players in space. So whereas, you go back, we'll say when I started 2006, your tailback was going to touch the ball, probably 65, 70% of the time. You're going to play action to your tight end. You're going to throw hitch or slant or fade to your outside guys. But for the most part, your tailback was going to, your offense was going to run through him. It's just changed so much. I mean, now you've got, you're playing 2-by-2. You're throwing the ball all over the place. You look at a stat sheet from Friday night, whereas it used to maybe have 3 or 4 guys listed. Now it has almost 9 or 10 or 11 guys listed that touch the ball. So that's changed a great deal. Defensively, it's gotten so much harder because now you have to defend every single square inch of the field. And defenses have gotten better. We talked all the time about how much the data has changed football, and how coaches watch film, and just the technology involved, and all of those kind of components have changed the game probably as much as anything has changed it. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what the next evolution is, because certainly that will come too.
All right, before we bid adieu and wrap up the show, let's again thank the sponsors: CCB Contracting, Geodis, Ganell Financial, Julia Burbridge, Remax Centerstone, Plainfield, Kyle Burnfield, Mortgage Lender at Flagstar Bank, Team Turley, Fairway Mortgage, Bailey and Wood Financial Group, African Plum Home, MyIT Indy at myitindy.com, I-70 Wrecker Service and Garage, BGW Construction LLC, Beacon Sign Company, Jeff Brown Photography, Karen Alexander Photography, and Whitlow's Towing. And that's one of the things I want to wrap up on, coaches. Man, over the years, we have had literally hundreds of sponsors, names who we have read on these broadcasts, and who have helped out with a variety of ways to make Plainfield football possible. You've had some awesome businesses step up over the years.
We have, and those you wish you could, just like anything else, you wish you could mention everybody and thank everybody. But all the quarterback club parents that lined those sponsors up, the sponsors obviously themselves for coming on board and being involved with our program. You certainly talk about how things have changed. It takes a lot more money today to run a football program than it did 10 years ago, certainly 17 years ago. So couldn't do it without those folks. There's no doubt.
Before we go, we always have every show we've done with you. I don't remember when we started this, somewhere very early on, about people, behind the scenes who make Plainfield football what it is. And you've always been so good about it. Anybody on your final coaches show, or anybody's plural, you'd like to mention?
I do. Yeah. And this will be just a little bit longer than normal for obvious reasons, but not too long. Just, I want to first thank, Tori Rodkey, our current AD. Tori chose to stick with me and stick with what we were doing through some pretty tough years, because he believed in the process and knew that, our staff was going to do a good job, do the best job we could possibly do every Friday night, put competitive teams out there, even though sometimes the win-loss record, what we wanted it to be. And, I mentioned the quarterback club, and I gotta, I hate to single people out, but I got to mention Rosie Fakes. Rosie Fakes was the person that got our club off the ground back in 2006. And both Rosie's sons played for me, Tyron, and then later Zane, and just a great, very driven family for sure. And Rosie did a fantastic job. Got to mention you, my man. Like you said, it's we spent a lot of Sunday mornings and Sunday afternoons, talking football. And, I remember doing some remote sites with you up in Brownsburg a couple times. All that stuff was very cool. Coming down downtown on the Circle on a couple summers to WIBC headquarters was awesome for me. So a lot of really good things. And then, our coaches. I got 3 coaches in particular: Coach Pearson, Coach Minton, and Coach Sloan. Those 3 guys were with me since day one. Such great men to serve as role models for our players, and obviously all of our players. There's not enough words for me to say thank you, and that's just that's what it's all about. I mentioned the coaches and camaraderie. That's what I will miss, but I'm going to also miss watching those players grow and mature. So that's pretty special. And Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I wanted to close on our part, thanking you and all the people you mentioned, right? Because, I think about when we first started this 15 years ago, where I was as a person, where I am now, was able to build this business in part on local schools. And you guys, you and Avon were really the first two that we had. And it was such a big part of my life. And I've so looked forward to during football season, during the summer, doing the preseason show. And you have always made us feel like a part of the Plainfield football family. And I know I speak for a lot of people who are saying we were cheerleading for you to get that sectional championship, not just because, hey, we're the Plainfield broadcasters, but because, and I'm sure the entire Plainfield community shares in this, you have been so good to so many people. And, it's look, Coach Bless seems like an awesome guy. I look forward to sucking up to him very soon. Hopefully he'll allow us to keep doing the games. But I just really wanted to say, from a personal level, thank you for allowing us, our company, the broadcasters we have had over the years. I'm sure I can speak for Lek on this as well, that, man, you have touched so many kids. It's been such an honor and a blast to do these games, do the coaches shows with you. And now you can maybe come do some games with us.
Yeah. I mean, I appreciate that, Rob. I really do. And, I guess I'll wrap things up, with this. I've already spoke too much as it is. But I don't want this to sound incredibly negative, because it's not meant to be that way. But I want to tell people, how challenging it is to be a coach, and whether it's myself or anybody else. So many people have ideas about different things and decisions that were made over the years. And, maybe some of those people were right about some of those things. But, here's the deal. I challenge all those people to go stand in the arena, go in there, and there are going to be plenty of jobs open next fall. Go apply for one of them. Get off your rear end, go out there, get a resume together, go be an assistant coach, go apply for a head coaching job, and go find out what it's like. Because we live in a world right now where the cynic has the microphone all the time and is the person that's got all the answers. So I challenge those folks. Be supportive. Be supportive of Coach Bless. Be supportive of this school. Be supportive of this football program. It's gonna continue to go places. And again, that's not meant to sound negative. I want to make sure people understand how important this is, and what a good product it is. And it's still going to be one of those places where kids come first, and it's not just about the scoreboard. Whether whoever's a part of that process, that's going to continue here at Plainfield.
Well, Coach, again, speaking on behalf of all of us here at Audio Sports Online, and I feel safe saying for all the parents, all the players, all the sponsors, everybody who's been involved with Plainfield football, thank you. Thanks for these coaches shows. Thanks for leading the program. And I'll close by saying this: instead of saying get a big win, we'll look forward to talking to you next year. We'll literally, hopefully, look forward to talking to you next year in the broadcast booth.
Well, I'll definitely be around. And just close with this. One more dang time for the good guys. Hail to the varsity. Go Red Pride.